structure set up. We've got a bit of dummy data, so now it's time to actually show this inside our table. So I'm going to go to my TableView controller. So since we created this as a UI table view, there's a lot of the methods already available for us, which makes it a lot easier. So we're going to be using this one here, which displays the data, but these ones down here we're not going to be using, so I can delete those. So I have three methods. I have the number of sections, I have the rows in the table section, and then I also have this one here, which will display the cell for rows at. Okay, so I'll explain each of these as we sort of go through. So the first thing we're going to do is to create a new method. This one is called override function view will appear. Okay, this is slightly different from the view did load. Because we're using a tab bar controller and we're flicking between, we want to reload the data and also sort it each time. So reload and sort. Okay, so this is where we're going to call our bubble sort algorithm, which of course was in waterdata.swift down here. So because it's global, we can call that. And then we're going to update our data. So we're going to use this dispatch queue.main.async, and the code is going to be self.tableview.reload data. Okay, so that'll just refresh our data every time we click on that tab as we go through. Okay, so how many sections do we want to have? So we can divide up our data into sections. So for example here, at the moment we only have one section and then all of our data displays. So we just want to have one. How many rows do we want to have in our data? Sorry, I'll get rid of that. How many rows do we want to have? Well, we want to have how many rows depends on how much data we have. So we can find our entries list and we can count how many entries we have inside here. So at the moment we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that count should return 5. And the last thing we want to do is to actually configure this cell. Okay, so we need to have a reuse identifier. Okay, so let's call this water cell. Okay, I haven't created water cell yet, so I need to go to my storyboard. I need to go to my table and click on my cell. So if I click on this little button down here next to view as iPhone 11, I can make sure I have my cell selected, and then if I click this icon here, there's a reuse identifier. I'm going to call this water cell. Okay, so now I've set my reuse identifier. Go back to my table view. Okay, so I've set this to water cell, which now I can identify which cell I'm talking about. I'm going to let my data equal the entries, and it's going to use this index path here. So index path, make sure I'm using the lowercase, dot row. So whatever row within that will display. Okay, then display my data. Okay, what do I want to show? So in the cell, in the text label, text, I want to display my data dot volume, and I'm going to change that to add on a little suffix for milliliters. So each time my entry will change this, which was a double, to a string, and then it's going to tack on the end the little milliliter sign. Okay, now the other thing I want to do is actually show the date as well. So currently on my table, I'll go back to my main view, get rid of this. Okay, so if I have a look at my table at the moment all it's doing is showing the text. So if I change this from the top here, custom, to subtitle, this will give me a couple more options. You can see here, I want to have the volume at the top, and then I'm going to have the date underneath. Okay, so go to my table view, Now I can go to cell.detail text label text, and I want to equal my data.date. Now I don't need to convert this to a string because my type is already a string. So if I go back here, my type is already a string. I only had to convert this one, which was a double. Okay, so now my data will display.